What's up, guys? Welcome back. It is Tuesday, May 12th, Transformation Tuesday. Today we are going to continue with a business lesson while listening to a transformative artist. I figured I'd stick with the Mickey Mouse Club theme, and we listened to Britney Spears. Hopefully she doesn't burn down any more of her gyms. You did it again, Britney. First you shaved your head, then you burned down your home gym. Good for you. Anyway, so last week we discussed the role of government in our economy, and specifically we discussed how the government regulates business, protects competition, protects business arrangements or contracts, right? Shout out business law. Protects creative properties through patents, trademarks, copyrights, etc. And how to regulate the production process, right? I went through a bunch of different examples. We took a lot of notes. Hopefully we learned a thing or two last week. This week we'll discuss how the government is a provider for its citizens. Today we'll discuss what the government provides for the public through public goods and services. The main idea for today's lesson is the different levels of government do more than regulate business activities. One of their main roles is to provide goods and services. That's the key area for today's lesson is public goods and public services. Now, in the past, we talked about public and private wants and needs. Today, we're going to be talking about public needs and also public wants and how the government determines that. So your EQ for today's lesson is, how does the government determine a public good and a public service? How does the government distinguish or determine a public good and a public service? So the government provides four main things: key services to the public, incentives to business and people, providing jobs, and distributing income. Now we're gonna go through some notes. There's some definitions. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. All right. So today we'll focus on the government providing these goods and services. So I'm going to give you my definitions of a good and my definition of a service. So my definition of a good is something you purchase that you can physically hold, right? It's tangible. So good is tangible. I can hold it. A service is something you purchase that you cannot physically hold, or it's intangible. So a good is tangible. A service is intangible. Get it? Awesome. So the government provides public goods and services. So public tangible items or public intangible items. So your first question, remember you're going to put your response on Schoology. What sort of public goods and services do you think the government provides? Pause the video now, put it on Schoology because we're going to work through some examples that I'm going to give you for the rest of today's episode. All right, so hopefully you answered that. Hopefully you put your answers on Schoology. So let's define what a public good is and what a public service is. So this is a definition from Investopedia. I use this very frequently. Public good and service: a product that an individual can consume without reducing its availability to others and of which no one is deprived. Okay. So basically the good can't dwindle in supply as people consume them, and the good is available to all. It cannot be withheld, including the people that do not contribute to its public funding. So basically, this public good is everyone in the public can use it, right? Either a good or a service. Anybody can use it, but if everybody in the public is using it, we can't dwindle down the supply. We can't dwindle down the supply. We need to be able to leave enough for other people in the community, regardless if they are putting or if they're paying towards that public good. Example: transportation. Anybody can use public transportation, right? You got to pay, I don't know how much it is to get on a bus, but it's open to everybody. And if I go on and use it literally all day, every day, I'm consuming a lot, right? But I'm not dwindling down the supply of public transportation. Make sense? I hope so. Another one is water, like the water system. We drink fresh water, we bathe, we wash our clothes and our dishes in fresh water. So we pay for that service, that public service for fresh water. So that fresh water is given to everybody regardless if they're paying for it or not. Does that make sense? And water, believe it or not, yes, it is a finite resource, or there's a certain amount of supply of water, but I could be using water for my apartment every day, and I'm not dwindling the supply. So there's enough for the public for me that after me using it or consuming it. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope so. So I'm going to give you some more examples of public goods and services. Law enforcement, right? Everyone uses it for protection, but not necessarily everybody pays for it. National defense, same thing. Sewer systems, kind of went over that roughly with the water supply. They go hand in hand. Public parks, and believe it or not, the air that we breathe, right? There are government agencies out there to regulate how businesses conduct themselves in regards to air waste or pollution, and that's there for us as the public because we don't want to be breathing in, toxics and just a bunch of junk every day, right? So whenever a private good and service may become a public good or service, it must answer a variety of questions. There are 4 of them. So we're going to go through these 4. Make sure you're paying attention to them, these 4 questions, because that is part of your second question. But let me restate this. Whenever a private good and service may become a public good and service, must answer a variety of questions. 1, is its use available to all, right? Can everybody use it? 2, does it provide public health and safety, right? That's a big concern with the government, making sure that its public is healthy and safety, right? So let's keep that in mind as we move forward, getting ourselves out of this whole COVID-19 situation. So that's the second question. Third question. Does it provide for the general welfare of society? Another one that could play hand in hand in us getting ourselves out of this whole COVID-19 situation. And the fourth one is, should the services be provided by both public and private means? Should a public company produce it or offer it? And should a private company produce it and offer it? So this is your second question, or more of an assignment, is choose a public good and service and answer these 4 questions, right? I gave you a bunch of examples, law enforcement through the air that we breathe. Choose one or come up with your own. Choose a public good and service and answer these 4 questions. I'll repeat them again just for you to understand. Is it available to all? Does it provide public health and safety? Does it provide general welfare for society? And 4, should the service be provided by both a public and a private entity? Make sure that you answer these questions on Schoology, right? Make sense? Awesome. So Thursday we'll talk about how the government receives revenue and how it aids people and how it supports businesses. We're going to continue with this theme for this week as I get my outro for Britney Spears. Can't believe she burned down her gym, cut her hair off. Good for you, Britney. Bell ringer, check the About section of this video. And that's it for this Tuesday. Transformation Tuesday, May 12th. See you tomorrow.